real Mitt Romney because the real Mitt Romney is doing just fine with the account that he already has. Whoever it was that was on stage last night doesn't want to be held accountable for what the real Mitt Romney has been saying for the last year. And that's because he knows full well that we don't want what he's been selling over the last year. Governor Romney may dance around his positions. He may do a tap dance and a two-step. But if you want to be president, then you owe the American people the truth. So here's the truth. Governor Romney cannot pay for his $5 trillion tax plan without blowing up the deficit or sticking it to the middle class. We can't afford to go down that road again. We can't afford another round of budget-busting tax cuts for the wealthy. We can't afford to gut our investments in education or clean energy or research or technology. We can't afford to roll back regulations on Wall Street banks or oil companies or insurance companies. We can't afford to double down on the same top-down economic policies that got us into this mess. That is not a jobs plan. It's not a plan for our economy. It's not a plan to strengthen the middle class. It is not change. It is a relapse. And we're not going to do it. We have been there. We have tried that. We are not going back. We're moving forward. Because I've got a different view. We have a different view about how to create jobs and prosperity. This country doesn't succeed when only the rich get richer. We succeed when everybody has a shot. When the middle class is getting bigger. When there are ladders of opportunity into the middle class. Our economy does not grow from the top down. It grows from the middle out. That's how it grows. We don't believe that anybody's entitled to success in this country, but we do believe in opportunity. We do believe in a country where hard work pays off and responsibility is rewarded, where everybody's getting a fair shot and everybody's doing their fair share and everybody's playing by the same rules. That's the country we believe in. That's what I've been fighting for the last 4 years. That's why I'm running for a second term as President of the United States. Madison, what we are rallying around is a new economic patriotism that is rooted in the core belief that built this country. The belief that the economy grows when we have a strong and thriving middle class and everybody who works hard has a shot. And there are specific ways that we can do that. I want to export more products and outsource fewer jobs. My opponent said we should let Detroit go bankrupt. We came together, don't boo. Oh. We came together to reinvent a dying auto industry that's now back on top of the world. We created 500,000 new manufacturing jobs. And so we can keep giving tax breaks to companies that are shipping jobs overseas, or we can start rewarding companies that are opening new plants and training new workers right here in Wisconsin, right here in the United States of America. That's what we need to do. Help big factories and small businesses double their exports. Create 1 million new manufacturing jobs. You can make that happen, but you're going to have to vote. I want to control more of our own energy. You know, after 30 years of doing nothing, we raised fuel standards so that by the middle of the next decade, your cars and trucks will go twice as far on a gallon of gas. That's good for your pocketbook. That's good for our economy, and it's also good for our environment. Now, we've doubled the amount of renewable energy that we generate from sources like wind and solar. Thousands of Americans have jobs today building wind turbines, long-lasting batteries. Today, the United States of America is less dependent on oil than at any time in nearly 2 decades. got a choice between a plan that reverses this progress, as you heard last night, or one that builds on it. The guy who was playing Mitt Romney said he refuses to close a loophole that gives big oil companies $4 billion in taxpayer subsidies every single year. Does anybody think that oil companies need a tax subsidy right now? So we've got a better plan. We're going to keep investing in wind and solar and clean coal, and farmers and scientists can harness biofuels to power our cars and our trucks and make our buildings and schools more energy efficient and develop our natural gas that's right beneath our feet. And if we do all those things, we can cut our oil imports in half by 2020. We can support hundreds of thousands of jobs all across the country. But you're going to have to vote to make it happen. I want to make sure that every young person in America has the chance to get the skills, the knowledge they need to compete in this 21st century economy. You know, education's the only reason I'm standing on this stage. It's the only reason Michelle was able to do what she did. And so we haven't forgotten that we needed some student loans to get through school. That's why over the last 4 years we've helped millions of students pay less for college, because we finally took on a system that was wasting billions of dollars on banks and lenders. We said, let's cut out the middleman, let's give the money directly to students. Now, the guy playing Mitt Romney last night says he loves education, but the budget that his running mate, Congressman Ryan, put forward, don't boo, well, would gut education to pay for more tax breaks for the wealthy. That's one path. It's the wrong path. We need to decide that in the United States of America, no child should have her dream deferred because of an overcrowded classroom, because of outdated textbooks. No family should have to set aside an acceptance letter to go to the University of Wisconsin because they don't have the money. No company should have to look for workers in China because they couldn't find any with the right skills here in the United States. So I need you to help me recruit 100,000 new math and science teachers, improve early childhood education, give 2 million workers the chance to learn skills at the community college that will lead directly to a job. Help us work with colleges and universities like this one to cut the growth of tuition costs so that you guys aren't overburdened with debt when you graduate. That's a goal we can meet. We can choose that future for America. We're going to have to do something about the deficit, but we've got to do it in a smart way. I said I'd cut the deficit by $4 trillion through a mix of spending cuts and higher taxes on the wealthiest of Americans. I've already worked with Republicans to cut $1 trillion in spending. I'm willing to do more. I want to reform the tax code so it's simple and it's fair. But I'm also going to ask the wealthiest among us to pay higher taxes on incomes over $250,000. The same rate we had when Bill Clinton was president, created 23 million new jobs, went from deficit to surplus. And look, the whole economy does well when taxes are kept low for middle-class families and working families, because when you guys have a little extra money in your pocket, you spend it. You have to, on basic necessities. And that means business has more customers. And they make more profits, they then hire more workers. And the economy as a whole begins to grow. But to do that and reduce the deficit at the same time, we've got to ask folks who can afford it to do a little bit more. Now last night, this may have actually been the real Mitt Romney, because he ruled out raising a dime on taxes on anyone ever, no matter how much money they make. Ruled out closing those loopholes that are giving $4 billion of corporate welfare to the oil companies. Refused to even acknowledge the loophole that gives tax breaks to corporations that move jobs overseas. When he was asked what he would do to actually cut spending and reduce the deficit, he said he'd eliminate public television funding.